pretty much supported by advertisements and like what?
It's still British, say advertisements.
Advertisements.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of An Interesting Discussion Sometimes. Back here with the boys, we got Tarun, Haran, and Christian. I'm Harsha, and today we got no guest. Happy November, everybody. And I'm thankful for you guys in a season of being thankful. So
it's already started.
Yeah. Okay, no one else wants to say they're thankful, so let's move on. Before
I'm thankful for the listeners of this podcast. That's what I'm
thankful thanks, Summers, that you're the best. Okay, so before Thanksgiving, there's Halloween. So the last episode, or a couple episodes ago, we talked about what we're going to be wearing for our Halloween party for costumes, and we told everybody, right?
Yeah.
Did we? Yeah. So them three were Jimmy, Carl, and Sheen, and I was Tramp from Lady and the Tramp, and yeah. We had a nice party at the OC last weekend. Some of us turned out better than others, but it was still a fun time overall.
Would you say it was a shitty time or like?
Just after.
Do you want to give some context?
No.
I have explosive diarrhea.
Oh my god!
There's the quote.
That is insane context.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, did she hear about like the missiles from like North Korea? That was Harsha.
So that party was on Friday.
Yeah.
And today's Thursday. It's day 6 of diarrhea. Please help.
Have you been eating ginger?
No.
That's your problem, man.
Do you guys eat ginger?
I'm not a big fan.
Not since freshman year of
I mean,
college.
you can. I guess I don't eat ginger, but you could get ginger drink.
Want some Moscow mules? What did you say, Christian?
Is that not since freshman year?
Mad. Madness.
Yeah, maybe I'll have to try that if I'm still pooping.
What are you talking about? What Christian said?
No, not that.
And we lost our only.
And we lost
listener.
only.
I know what Turd said.
Oh, okay.
It's true. I didn't have what you have, but when I went to Haran's house later, like the next day, and I had some ginger ale, and it felt so much better. Or ginger beer, not ginger ale. It was a calming on the bodily system.
I'm glad it worked. Yeah, one thing that we didn't mention about the party that was kind of cool. So it was Halloween themed. So besides like us setting up decorations, which was fun, we all kind of like came up with like Halloween themed drinks in like groups and stuff. Which I think we never really done that before, I feel like. So it was a fun time. Me and Tarun kind of took like the not easy route, but we bought syringe bottles that you could fill up with shots. So we pretty much put like a shooter of grape soda and vodka. And
the motivation behind that.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that the motivation behind the grape soda and vodka specifically was because in Jimmy Neutron they drink purple flurple or purple flurp. Flurp, yeah. So we thought we'd do a purple drink, and then the syringe is kind of like, science, like Jimmy Neutron, you get it? Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, so pretty much you just squirted liquids into your mouth.
It was fun though. Yeah, like the concept, you just sound like a fucking idiot when we explain it, but
yeah,
it was actually like an
I
enjoyable
honestly
experience.
Yeah, like I enjoy that. I feel like if I had shots that way, it would go down a lot easier sometimes. Because like sometimes like you just like mess up how you like throw it back into your mouth, and like it's just. But this one, like, since it's like just squirt directly into the back of your throat, it's great. Stop laughing, bro. I'm just being serious.
So like, do you think
it's actually a shooter?
I'm being dead
though, because when you squeeze it, right? It actually is a shooter.
So do you think it would be looked down upon if you just like brought syringes to every bar you went from now on?
Yeah, like fat syringes like that. Yeah, maybe.
I would argue some people already do that.
Oh.
The heroin addicts.
Okay. Harsh, you want to explain what drink you and Amrita came up with?
Yeah, so we got this purple indigo gin that I never had before, and we mixed that with lemonade, club soda, and blue curacao. I thought it was pretty good. I never
What
had.
about Bombay Sapphire?
It's still unopened.
Didn't touch it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I bought too much. I bought more than I thought I would need. But I mean, I thought the drink was cool. I never had that gin before, so it was nice.
What was like the Halloween theme towards that?
Oh yeah. So this recipe said it's called Witch's Brew Lemonade. I guess it's just because it's purple and like a witch's pot thing.
Cauldron?
I guess. Cauldron.
Was it
Yeah.
was it purple? I thought it was like blue.
Yeah, it was supposed to be purple.
I also don't remember it tasting like lemonade.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no,
thought
I
put
had
a good amount
hint
of lemonade in it. Yeah.
I don't remember everything. So
It was purple before I added the blue curacao. Then it became just blue.
Fair enough.
I will say it was definitely more lemonade-y at the beginning, and then at the end it got a lot more ginny.
Yeah.
Weasley.
So dumb. Christian, what did you come up with?
Oh, dude, I did some dumb shit.
Dude,
Oh.
this drink I think killed all of us. I think this
This was the last drink that we like all collectively had.
Yeah.
Toward the end of the night. Yeah.
Because like I boiled or like warmed up some stuff on the stove to like incorporate everything together, and then I had to let it cool for like a few hours, like a lot longer than I was expecting. But I was like thinking of like fall time drinks, like apple cider's a common October drink. Go to the pumpkin patch, go to the apple orchard, get some nice homemade apple cider. I went to Harris Teeter, got some apple cider. But I mixed in some. I looked up recipes, but I kind of just did it on my own. I had some brown sugar that I threw in there. I had some. I wanted to get caramel coffee syrup, like coffee flavoring, but they were all out of caramel, so I got hazelnut, which I thought did the trick. What else did I throw in there, other than the alcohol? I think that was it. Oh, I threw some cinnamon in there, which was great. But the killer is that I had Tarun buy a 1.75 of Bacardi rum for like $22, which I thought was a steal. The problem is that I then had 1.75 of Bacardi just sitting in front of me, and a gallon of apple cider. And, most of the time when you are making something like drink wise, you measure it out. You don't just kind of wing it. And I kind of wung it.
Wong.
I feel like when you're making like a big pot of drink, like a big stew, like it's hard to measure. You know what I mean? Like it's like when you're making like a single like shot drink, like that's when you can measure. But.
Yeah. So I probably had about 80% of a gallon of apple cider in this pot, and then I think I put in about a liter of Bacardi in there, and I kept, instead of adding non-alcoholic things, I would add a bunch of sweetener and be like, oh no, that's kind of sweet, and then I would add more alcohol instead of like testing as I added the alcohol. So by the time I was done with this drink, couldn't taste the alcohol, which as an experience in the moment, great. But as an experience throughout the night, not a good idea. Because, man, that shit was like, this was a huge pot, and I brought it downstairs, and I think within the span of like a little over an hour, it was just gone.
It was a hit.
It was a hit, which is great. I'm glad everybody enjoyed it, but I don't think it was safe to consume that much alcohol, given the fact that there were all these other drinks in such a short amount of time. But
yeah,
what's done is done. There's still 0.75 of rum at Amrita's house, which
my house.
Oh,
I brought it to my house.
Oh, you're brave to
get through the week, huh?
Yeah, I really needed it. No, because I thought I was going to go to Haran's house and then didn't.
I mean, we can get to the aftermath of what happened that night. It's pretty much, I think you guys can tell, a lot of this is just our drinks, and then people also brought other stuff. So just by the end of the night, a lot of alcohol was consumed. We ended up sleeping at 4 a.m, which is a lot past a lot of our bedtimes.
That's really late by our
standards. To be fair,
like
even at college, I don't think we ever stayed up that late, like dead ass. I think even when we came out
a few times.
When we came back from like a night out, we'd probably like chill in our living room for like an hour and then probably go to bed at like 2 and 3 o'clock. But
we're not big post gamers. I feel like
yeah. We like to we like to go hard, but we also like to prioritize our sleep on the weekends. Some more than others in this group. But anyway, speaking of people that like to prioritize their sleep, Harsha that night. Do you want to explain how you're feeling after a certain time at that night, Harsha?
Yeah. Well, this never happens for me that much.
Well, to be fair, this isn't due to like alcohol poisoning or anything. So
yeah,
I want to make that clear.
Yeah. So we had some dinner after we were decorating or before, like, before everyone else got there, and we decided to get Nando's, which is usually not a terrible idea. I guess we all ordered different things, and no one else tried the thing that I got, which is just 3 chicken thighs in a box and garlic bread. It was pretty good, and
when you ate it, did you like feel anything wrong with the chicken?
No, I mean, like, I didn't really pay attention, I guess.
I think you can tell like by the texture of the chicken is like off.
Yeah, I didn't think too much of it. It was also like in a box, not in the plates. I couldn't see it like close enough. I would just kind of dig in there and eat it. But
Hey, yo.
Ginger all over again.
No. Yeah, it was fine. And then obviously, like, I drank a lot, I guess, like everyone else. And yeah, the last time I threw up after drinking was like 2 years ago, which we already talked about on the podcast. And this time I also threw up a lot, maybe worse than last time too. Like, I think we went to bed at like 4. I started throwing up at 3 a.m. I threw up in the kitchen sink. Sorry. And then I threw up like a bunch of times the next day, which is like really weird considering I didn't like black out or like really think I died. Yeah, so I don't know what's going on. Probably the chicken. So never go. I wouldn't say never. Not going back to Nando's for a long time.
Yeah, at least this location forever, maybe.
Yeah,
it's the closest one to you, though.
Yeah, this location can fuck off. Yeah, I'm never going back.
Yeah,
it sucked.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying the best thing about it was the day after. Trun just had such a big smile on his face when he saw you just running to the bathroom, coming back, and going to the bathroom, coming back. You want to comment on that, Trun?
I mean, it is pretty. What do you call it?
Funny,
satisfactory on my end, because I know what the pain is like, and to be not having that pain
makes your life better.
Feels good.
Madness.
It's like, you know what it's like? It's like, that scene from Three Idiots. Or there's a scene from this indie movie called 3 Idiots where basically these 3 idiots, they go out drinking all night, and then the next morning they have a test, and one of their friends who like doesn't study at all gets like the highest grade in the class, and then the other 2 who study their ass off but still like drink or whatever, they got like the shittiest grade. And they felt even shittier than just having a shitty grade because their friend did way better. You know what I mean? It's like the opposite for me.
That was such a long-winded.
The funniest part of that, actually, about that scene is like they post all the grades on the board, and then they were looking for their names and trying to find the friend's name, and they couldn't find it. So because they only post like people that passed the test. So oh shit, he actually failed. They felt so bad, and then they saw that he was like actually at the top, like on the other side of the board. Yeah. Fuck you, Tarun. Anyways, you threw up right when I woke up at like 10:30, and then went back to sleep, and then threw up again trying to eat some bagels, and then threw up again when I got home at like 5-ish. Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
It's a shame.
The funny thing is, like, so in the middle I took a nap. I was just like pretty shitty, so I just stayed at Amrita's house, and I made those noises again, Tarun. The noises that you said I made at Jackie's house
while you were sleeping.
No, I was trying to throw up at like 3 or 4 a.m. like after everyone went to bed, like in the bathroom, and then like the next day after everyone left, and then like while I was trying to take a nap, just making those noises. I felt so terrible. Yeah.
But did Amrita take care of you?
Yeah, she cut me a.
I'm keeping that whole silence in, by the way. We need to know how long he had to think about that.
Yeah, she did. She cut me 2 apples, and I was able to eat those without throwing up.
That's good.
And I threw them up after, though. It's okay.
Nice.
Yeah. And now, as a result, I have diarrhea from Nando's.
Still,
For a
it's
week.
an ongoing problem.
Still.
Damn.
Crazy.
Well, not to get too deep into, upcoming events, but we are planning on going to Bottomless Brunch in about 48 hours. So we'll see how bottomless Harsha can be at that brunch. But it'll be a good time.
Yeah. Yeah, all in all, besides Harsha's problems at night, I think that's all good. It was a good time. I had fun.
Yeah.
I'd like to see everyone. Everyone dressed up in costumes. I think I don't know if we all mentioned that, but yeah.
Oh, we were not just.
Yeah,
It wasn't just us four. Yeah, it wasn't just us four. Everyone came up in costumes. And
Everybody's costumes were good. There was no clear lack of effort.
Yeah.
Everybody did a great job.
great times all around.
And then we all just beat up Christian at one point in the night. That was
Yeah.
That is true. Yeah, that is true.
I don't remember
I
that.
still
Maybe
don't
they
know
gave
why.
me CTE.
I don't know why either.
I'm pretty sure I just saw someone started like hitting Christian. I was like, fuck it, I guess. And then I just started kicking.
I just remember, I mean, it was in the video too, but I remember saying, like, fuck Carl. Fuck that guy. Like, fuck Carl. I have no idea why.
Hey, yo, I'm gonna be honest. I don't remember anything throughout that.
Oh yeah,
point
even
of the
like
night.
Christian was pretty fucked up too, but he didn't throw up. He was just
Yeah, I
Yeah,
do remember this, that there was some point when I felt like, okay, if I take one more sip of alcohol, I will throw up. So I didn't.
smart.
I am actually really surprised within myself that I did not throw
Do we
up.
fucking get it, dude?
And I've also been
I'm also
having,
surprised
like,
in myself
really...
too.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm surprised in both of us too. We did it
Thank you.
because I think we have thrown up the most out of the people, besides Harsha and Christian. So
You think so?
yeah, I mean Harsha didn't throw up at all, and Christian
Yeah.
also has never thrown up since like fucking sophomore year of college.
Yeah,
so
that's actually fair.
it's not like a
Well, to be honest,
Good
it's like
comparison.
it's very close but like the race between you three, I would say, But then I'm on like the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah, real pioneer.
In more ways than one, in fact.
in more ways than one.
But
We go
that'll
again
all
in 2
change.
days. We
Yeah, I
go
was
again
gonna
in 2
say,
days.
we'll even the odds on Saturday.
Bottomless is actually my kryptonite. I feel like absolute shit sometimes, but it's
Well,
fun in
you're
the
about
moment.
to. Well, you're
It's fun
about
in-
to.
It's fun in the
I'm
moment.
telling you, like, you and Tarun, like, combined will be 3 drunk people after the end of that bottomless.
Fantastic.
So get prepared now. Like, eat up.
Yo, does this bottomless have different flavors of?
No, or maybe I don't think it did, but
Let's just bring some chaser, bro. Bring some
wait,
juice.
why did it matter?
Base of chaser? No, it's just more entertaining. Like we went to Harsha and some other people went to like this place called Tupelo Honey a while back. You remember that, Harsha? And like they had like, bro, what kind of mimosas they had? Like a regular mimosa. They had like a mango one, I think. They had like a dragon fruit or some shit. Or
all bottomless
pomegranate.
options.
Yeah.
Mm.
And that was so good. They
We
had a
changed our res,
blackberry
bro.
one too.
Should we change the rest?
We can change the rest, but it would be more expensive. Probably.
Was that bottomless? I don't think it was bottomless. I think we just ordered a mimosa.
It might have been just like cheaper during brunch though. Like not happy hour, but whatever the equivalent is. Anyway, I feel like that makes it easier in terms of volume to get it down.
That's true. Maybe you can order like just like juices. Like, oh, can I get a glass of like apple juice, or can I get a glass of like grapefruit juice or something?
Yeah,
Maybe.
I guess real quick before we switch topic, just because you were talking about like getting juices like this, I guess to give some context, the place we're going to is Shaw's Tavern. I'm not sure if we talked about this on the podcast before, but essentially at this place when you get bottomless, they give you straight up bottles of champagne and then like pitchers of like orange juice on the side. So at this bottomless brunch, you could just be drinking straight champagne the whole time, and they just keep on giving you bottles as much as you want, right? So like, I guess technically you could just order like a pitcher of apple juice and just mix it with the champagne they give you on site. Like it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, you're pretty much just paying for the champagne, I guess. But
so we'll come up with the science while we're there. It'll be on the fly.
Yeah.
Are there any logical transitions we can make from degenerate talk to whatever we're going to talk about now, guys? Because I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Yeah. Why'd you say it like that?
I thought you were going to say, no, I don't think so, and then go into the next topic.
I was just trying to think of one. So, moving on. This rest of the podcast is going to be a little bit more informative and serious, I'd say, than how we usually do it. So that's why we didn't think of a stupid transition just to downplay what we're about to say. So,
nice.
There are a couple of things that happened in the news, current events, the past couple of weeks that we didn't really address. One of which is like the UK PM is different now.
Why would you say it like that? Now you're making it unserious, bro.
You made that sound like he got like hit by a bus or something. Now has like a condition.
Or like had like a sex change.
Yeah, like a disability. Like what the fuck?
Oh.
Why would you say it like that?
Oh yeah, sorry. UK got a new prime minister.
Yeah.
His name is Rishi Sunak. The other prime minister resigned, so this was like a quick turnaround.
Yeah, this is their, I guess, context. This is their third prime minister in the last 2 months, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, first prime minister of South Asian descent, I think.
First non-white PM.
Non-white PM in
minority,
general. Yeah, so I guess that's pretty cool if you're conservative, which he is. There are some like issues that came about when he joined. Some of which are like attacking him personally, and then other things are just like his views in general. What were you guys' thoughts about him becoming the leader of UK?
I think like as a South Asian person, I think it's like a lot of people in like group chats, family group chats that are in were like, oh, like we got an Indian guy in like that's leading the country there. That's crazy. But I think like the more people like looked into like the character and like who he is, not saying like he's a bad person, but just like the things he stands for and like the background, like he has private education. He comes from a very like wealthy family. Like, the way he was brought up in the UK is a lot different compared to the regular like South Asian descendants that live in the country. So it's not. I think it's like in one way it's a good thing that like we're seeing a person in power that's not just a white British person, which is I think makes up for like 85% of that population. So it is pretty impressive that a South Asian person was able to get that position. But I don't know if he like is truly a South Asian. I think he is a British person first that has like some South Asian like heritage. But yeah, I think, and I was just thinking in the grander scheme of things, I for that country, I just hope that they have some consistency at that level, because I feel like since oh my god, what's his name?
Boris
Johnson was in power. I feel like things are looking down in that country, and then Liz Truss came in for like 44 days, and their fucking economy was crashing, and they had to get her out. And so hopefully, like he can sustain his rule there without any problems. And yeah,
just a little bit of context on who he is. I looked up kind of his like a short biography, I guess. He grew up in the UK. His dad was a general physician. His mom was a pharmacist. He went to Oxford for a bit for finance, and then he did Stanford MBA, where he met his now wife, who's the daughter of Indian billionaire something. I don't know. I forget his name, but he's like the CEO of Infosys, which is a huge company, gigantic. And then he came back to the UK and started. I don't know if he started or he joined very early on, like basically this hedge fund. And then ever since then, he's kind of been in like this financial political sphere all around the place. And I think he served on like whatever their equivalent of like Congress or Senate is or something like that.
I know he was the head of the Exchequer, which is like the National Bank of England.
Yeah, okay, then maybe that's what it is.
So he basically was in charge of the capital for the can't say country because like there's a region because they have like, you know,
right.
It's not just Britain but mostly England. That's all I know on that front of him.
Yeah, basically.
But he also served like in the party. He was in like the political party too, right? Like he was like a
much later though. He's very new to being a politician.
No, but I think that's what Trun was saying.
Yeah,
that's kind of
like this is in his first role in politics, I guess. So.
Right.
People aren't just like, who the fuck, yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, he's like conservative. I also, well, Christian, do you want to speak before I go on and talk about it? Okay. So I had heard a few things about this guy, including his like thoughts, and I don't want to say his what's the opposite of affinity?
Infinity and beyond.
His infinity of LGBTQ plus people, I guess,
aversion.
in general, or more like aversion. There you go, of like trans people and all that stuff. I had heard that. I looked into it. It's pretty true, I guess. Like he doesn't believe in like having pronouns, and he wants to take that out of like their parliament and stuff like that. Which I guess his argument is like, why? Like, why does it matter? But like. I feel like our argument in general is like, why can't it be like that? Like if it was already implemented and stuff like that, especially, you know, it's not like he's like fighting for it to stay out, right? I don't know. Anyway, another thing that I saw was like recently he was kind of put under criticism because he didn't really want to go to this climate change conference that the UK is hosting called like COP something. It's like COP something.
Yeah, I could talk more about that later, but go ahead.
Yeah. So then I was curious, like what, like his hedge fund, like even, invested in all this stuff, and they have a pretty huge stake in like India's like coal production and like fossil fuel production. So, okay. Yeah. I mean, that might not have been his full decision, but obviously as like a big partner of that firm, I'm assuming he had, some sort of, role in making that decision.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to say he's a bad person or anything like that, but I just feel like it's good to be thinking about these things and like his opinions and thoughts and thinking about his background holistically, because from what I saw on like Instagram and all this shit, it's like all the Indian people that I knew were just posting this guy like, hey, yo, we got an Indian prime minister, which is hype. I still think it's I still think it's a net positive, but at the same time, I don't from the few things that I've seen from him, I don't know if I necessarily like him that much, already.
Yeah. The way he speaks is so British.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny.
He's
honestly.
such a twat, bro. I'm sorry if that's offensive to British people, but yeah, so I can speak a little bit more to this whole COP thing because my employer is partnered with COP. And so I have a bunch of coworkers going there. It's in Egypt this year. And it is based around, it was held in Glasgow last year, which is why it's within this like UK realm of why they are supposed to have like a big interest in this. And so, yeah, like Trun said, COP is about this kind of like sustainability, like clean finance kind of realm where they try and build or aim for a more sustainable future within just how we operate. And a lot of that goes through capital, like money invested by different member states, countries, and also large firms, banks and insurance companies, that kind of stuff.
So you're part of the cops?
No.
You want to fund the police?
No.
What does COP stand for? Just out of curiosity, I don't.
Great question. Should probably know the answer to that, but I don't. Coalition of something would be my first guess. Wish I could help you. It's called COP28 because it's the 28th meeting of this group of countries. Like Biden, I think, is supposed to be there. And the reason it was a big deal that Sunak originally said he wasn't going to go is because, like, he basically said, like, oh, I'm too busy to go to this. When,
right,
like,
all you're the PM, fam.
Yeah, and a bunch of other like world leaders are going. Like your constituents, and this is like your first like big deal of like your first like major event as PM. So it seems kind of idiotic to just like brush it off. He basically, it's like when your friends ask you to go out and then you're like halfway through eating dinner and you're like, I just don't feel like it, you know? Like it's the equivalent of that. Like you have no real excuse, you just want to make something up. Mm-hmm. I've definitely never done that before. So he's kind of walked back on that since, and he's kind of changed his mind. He also banned like the King Richard. Is that the king now? Haran, help me.
Charles? It was King Philip or something.
King Charles?
Philip
was the
husband of Elizabeth.
Okay, so but now it's King Charles.
Yeah, King Richard was the movie.
Imagine you just see fucking Will Smith. Will Smith fucking running the UK. He's just slapping people left or right.
He originally banned the king from going. And he was basically just like trying to keep the UK out of this thing. And I think Turin's right to bring up the fact that he was a major part of a coal industry head in India. Obviously, coal is not green energy. It's, contributing to fossil fuels in the air and that kind of stuff. Anyway, this is very long-winded to say that like he spoke at one of our events last year when he was still ahead of the British Bank in a sustainability summit when he's still trying to preach like green stuff. And so I don't want to say he's like a people pleaser, but it's just kind of a little bit of evidence, like now that he's gotten all this backlash. And there was like a report that Boris Johnson said, like, fuck it, I'm just going to go to COP because nobody else in the UK is going. And then that's when he changed his mind. He was like, oh, well, instead of, Boris Johnson, like I should probably go. So it is, by the time this episode comes out, it will have started. And so we'll know maybe a little bit more like ourselves whether he goes or not. But yeah, I don't think he thinks things through before he does them fully, which I was reading an article about there was an article that was made, this has been like a week since he's been PM, a little bit over. And it was like, oh, here are all of the mistakes he's already made as PM. And it was also from The Guardian, so take it with a little bit of salt. But like,
it's never a good way to start an article in there.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I know about him and that situation. I do agree that it's good to have like a different type of face, like a minority face at the head of one of a very white country like the UK, or region, I guess you could call it. So I do think that diversity in that aspect is good. Like, obviously, it was huge here in America when we had Obama, and he was the first black president.
I'm so glad our first non-white president was Obama, just because he's such a good leader, the way he speaks, the way he carries himself.
Yeah, he's very professional. He's very...
There's his whole family even. Like, they were all such good
examples,
role models. Such like perfect, nice people,
Yeah.
Like you could just tell.
Yeah, it's been.
He had like I think recently he was in Wisconsin, like endorsing the Democratic candidate there. I think it was Wisconsin. And it's been a while since I heard him like speak, and just hearing him and like just like the passion he has when he speaks, and like it was great to see. The funny thing that came out of it though, I saw another clip later. It was like some lady in the crowd behind him, it was like an African American lady. It was like, I can't remember exactly what she said, but she pretty much just said like, "You fine as hell, Obama," and then like, and then Obama like heard her, and then he was like, he just like laughed to himself and he was like gassing himself up. He's like, "Yeah, you're not wrong," and he's like, "You better hope Michelle doesn't hear that." And it's just like it had him like fucked up for like a minute. He was just like smiling. It was funny to see.
Yeah, because he was saying that he has gray hair now or something.
Yeah.
And then she was like, "Yeah, you're still a fine motherfucker" or something.
Yeah.
What's crazy is I feel like if he ran again now, like or like for the first time, I mean, like I feel like there's absolutely no fucking chance that he would get elected.
Yeah.
Because I feel like because of Trump, everyone feels like they have more of a pass to be racist, basically. Like
kind of, yeah. And I also feel like I don't know how large this group of people would be, but I can imagine that there's some people that are like, oh, you already had a black president. Why should we have another?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or like kind of like a pity vote, like, oh yes, we'll see how like this black president does. And then they're like scorned for the rest of their life because they didn't get this like one policy he promised or something.
Right. Yeah. Even I feel like even with Rishi Sunak, like he's gonna be placed under a lot more criticism.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good phrase to use.
Distinguishedly distinguished, yeah.
Yeah, indeed. Like he's gonna be held to a higher standard because he is, whereas other people, like white people generally would get away with the same things that he would do.
Yeah. I was telling the boys this, but like Trevor Noah covered this for a little bit on his show, and pretty much he was reacting to this call show. So there's this call show in England where it has, I think, I couldn't tell the ethnicity of the host, but I think she was brown. Maybe, like, I'm not sure what kind of brown she was, but anyway, she received a call from this white male, and pretty much it was like right after Rishi got appointed as PM, and he pretty much said like it's not right that a person like this is like representing our country, and then she was pretty much like pushing him to like say what he really wanted to say, and he was like, like it wouldn't be right if like I was the PM of Pakistan or something like that.
Yeah, I saw that shit, bro. Oh my God.
And then the host was just like, she clearly was enraged, but she like wanted him to like, pretty much like say what he was gonna say. He was like he was dancing around the fact that he's just pretty much a fucking racist. But like what you're saying, like there's gonna be a lot of people like that in England that feel that way, unfortunately, and like. Yeah. It's ironic coming from England, who fucking went around colonizing everyone and taking power and putting themselves in power in countries where they had no belonging there, and also they were literally just a different color, and they were like, "Oh, I'm just gonna take over your country, and you got to deal with it." But hopefully, they can find some solace in the fact that he's not actually really that brown, like in terms of like his views and his stance. So,
yeah, I don't know how much more we can like project about. I don't think any of us are well versed in the political climate of the UK or like what the fuck's going on there. I know that Europe itself is nearing a financial crisis and will likely go through a recession in the beginning of this year.
Yeah.
And that there's going to be a big problem with gas in the future because of Russia, which won't just affect Europe, but it'll mostly affect Europe because they rely on both like oil and natural gas from Russia. But that's something that, at least from what I've heard from people that I listen to at work, is a lot of going to be like next winter, not this winter. So it's kind of a longer term issue. And as he's also still dealing with a lot of the effects from Brexit.
What do you think he stands on that as a conservative, given the fact that his parents are from India and like they came
I think
here,
he's still for Brexit, just given his political
affiliation. Yeah, I guess like that's what I'm like confused about. I don't know.
From my best understanding, I don't know if this is accurate or not, so don't take my word for it. But I think he's like a middle right politician. So he's somewhat in the middle when it comes to a lot of things, but he's still a conservative and he holds a lot of conservative values. Like the way I've thought about it is that they've gotten progressively more in the middle from like Boris to Liz Truss to Rishi. So I don't know if that's accurate or not. If there's anybody from the UK that wants to correct me, absolutely feel free. But I think that I don't know how the British people feel about it, but I think they're moving to a more I don't know, a more neutral political structure for at least the leaders that they elect.
Yeah, Rishi Sunak, he voted to leave the EU.
Yeah, he's a fucker, man.
Confused individual.
Well, it's time that we exit to an ad.
Yeah, we have to save our own financial climate.
And we're back from the ad. More serious things to get to.
Such as?
Such as, do you know that soon you're going to have to pay to get your Woj bombs?
What? What's a Woj bomb?
Oh.
Twitter is taken over by Elon Musk.
Jesus God.
Yeah, that's pretty unfortunate, I guess, I'd say, based on how he's been handling it. At first, he's been taking it over. Just for some context, for those who don't know, Elon Musk has been trying to take over Twitter or like backing out, trying to take over. He doesn't make up his fucking mind on anything anymore. So like he like for the last 4 months is just like edging Twitter, and then finally he got it. They gave it to him. I don't even whatever. He has it now, and he's just doing fuck all to it.
Yeah, he's doing some
and
weird
people
shit.
People are outraged. Basically, we've already seen some effects of it. Like he's more lenient with content moderation. Like Twitter is kind of done like some work. They could have been better about it too. But like the last couple of years, just trying to like ban people who are being offensive. For example, saying the N-word or like spreading misinformation, like that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But he's like letting that slide and unbanning people like Donald Trump, and then also having people pay $8 a month now to have a blue check mark on their accounts.
Yeah.
Which is not. I don't think that's great either.
Yeah.
So, yeah. What do you guys thoughts on all this going on?
I guess like when I was looking into this, like I was like reading into the history of like how Twitter even like kind of like blew up in the first place. So basically what I learned was that like back in 2011 when like the Arab Spring was happening and like in Africa and like Middle East, there was like a lot of uprisings and political turmoil, and like the biggest platform for like sharing what was happening was Twitter, and that was like the first like explosion of users on Twitter, and then it kind of just like kept on going from there as being used as a point where like people could spread all this activist movement and their like political unrest and all these things. And I think like politicians suddenly realized that like they could just use the platform to just like enforce their messages to the public, and yeah, kind of just went from there. And I think that's when like Elon Musk kind of joined Twitter. And I was like reading this article where like pretty much at the first he was just like, you know, he was like, you know how we used to use Twitter back in the day in high school? I don't know, at least for me, like I would just like say random shit on my mind or just like random updates of what happened. Like kind of how I treated Facebook in the beginning too. And that's what Elon Musk was doing. But I think like over a while he just came a little like weird and just started just like pretty much like posting tweets that he knew would get likes and like interactions. That's how he built up his following and stuff. And then like slowly we like Twitter transformed into like a big thing. And then now when you have a big platform, you have trolls come on. And then that's like the last like 5 years where like there's a lot of people that are using Twitter and that aren't using it for the greatest intentions and trying to promote all this bad shit in the world and trying to use it to like get together with like other bad people, and essentially just that's what culture is saying. They're trying to moderate that shit now, and now Elon Musk is trying to come in and counteract that. But I think the funny thing about it is, so he invested a lot of money into this. I guess how was like 44 billion or something. Yeah, $44 billion. So like that's a lot of his net worth.
He sold a bunch of Tesla stock to be able to
exactly
do that
like
too.
a lot of his net worth is now like in this company. So like he has to like treat this like as like a proper business. So
right.
I'm intrigued to see how he's going to just like cut down on like moderating people and like everyone speak, because if Twitter is like pretty much supported by advertisements and like what?
So British say advertisements.
Advertisements. What's wrong with that, man? All right, anyway, like I read like it was like 90% backed by advertisements.
I apologize.
And if that's the case, like I can't imagine brands and stuff are gonna back Twitter if like it becomes this platform that Elon is saying.
Right.
So honestly, it feels like it's gonna be like a politician thing where like you promise something and then you get the thing and then you realize you can't really do this, and he has to like kind of find the middle ground between letting it be a free speech for everyone, but also making sure we don't have bigotry shared on the platform for everyone to see. To make sure that like he doesn't just lose money on this investment, which he probably will anyway, but can't lose too much money, I guess.
Well, it's not just his money. Like, it's not mostly his own money, right? Like, he got lent a lot of money.
Right, but I mean, like a lot of his personal stake is in this company now in terms of like what he invested into it. Yeah, and like what I guess we didn't say that Twitter was public before this, and now it's a private institution that's solely owned by him. Like, he has the final say on what goes, right?
Yeah.
So I'm intrigued to see what happens. Personally, I still use Twitter a lot. I don't know about you guys. I guess, well, True, you don't really use Twitter that much, right?
Yeah, not really. Like, I just browse it every once in a while. Like, I don't really follow anyone. I just look at like funny trending tweets or like trending news generally.
Yeah, so like personally, at least for me, like it's like my primary source of, at least besides sports, just like general news in the world, because I don't really watch the news that much. I read the news sometimes, but not that often. So like outside of Twitter, like podcasts are like my only real source of news in the world. So I feel like I don't know what kind of impact it'll have on me, but I guess it'll be interesting to see what happens to the platform in the next like couple months when he implements these changes or whatever else he has planned, because we all know Elon is fucking unpredictable in the way he goes about things. So yeah, I guess I'm not happy that he's in charge of Twitter is what I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I think my major gripe is I also just don't like him as a person. I think he's really fucking cringe and really just like one of the like, if you could think of like a stereotypical like harmful billionaire, like the first person I would think of is like Elon Musk. Now he's not like going out and creating like mass murders or something like that. It's not to that level. He's not like organizing genocide, but as far as like socially impactful and demonstrative, that's somebody I would think of. Anyway, one of my major gripes with him is the fact that he like pretty much dismissed everybody at the Twitter board. It's just like, it's one of the stupidest fucking things you can do. Like, I don't know if his official title is CEO of Twitter or not, but if you are a CEO of an organization and you don't have a board, like when something goes wrong, like what the fuck are you supposed to do? Like, obviously there's nobody else to put the blame onto, because I know a lot of CEOs like to just place blame on other people when there's mistakes on their front. There's also the people, I know if I started taking over, or like when I started working at a new place, like I would lean on people who have been there, who know how this shit runs. Like, clearly Twitter isn't perfect, but they know how to make all of these things run on an efficient manner. And so if you just oust all of these people for no fucking reason other than you just want to have final say on everything, that just seems like a stupid business decision and a stupid humanitarian decision. What else? There's a lot of shit. Also, yeah, the thing about the accounts coming back, and I don't know if we mentioned it off the podcast or if you said it, but like there was like a 500% increase in the use of the N-word after all these accounts were reactivated, because like they just were spewing hate speech, just like they were, because that's the reason they got banned. It's part of a larger issue about like people feel so safe behind a screen, you know?
Yeah.
That they don't feel any real consequences, and he does not. And I've seen him going back and forth with AOC a lot the last few days, about free speech, about the blue checkmark thing. The blue checkmark thing I think is really fucking stupid, because you're basically doing it as like a pay to win, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
he's trying to recoup some of the money that he lost in the investment, you know?
Yeah, because like we could start a podcast Twitter and get verified if we just paid $8 a month. Do you think we should do that? I absolutely fucking don't. And that kind of defeats the purpose of being verified. Like, it just means you can pay for it. You can have somebody who is pretending to be like, I don't know, like a celebrity who isn't on Twitter. Say like, I don't know, David Spade. everybody loves David Spade. But
such a random choice of a celebrity.
I don't know.
This man hasn't been like relevant in like 10 years.
Anyway, say David Spade, I don't know if he is or isn't. Let's say he's not on Twitter, right? Somebody makes a at David Spade, right? And they just pay the $8 a month. They can impersonate David Spade, and then nobody would fucking know the difference. It's just it creates more.
No, but then there'll be a tier list after though.
Of what? Best
Like
David
super
Spade
verified.
accounts? Oh.
No, like super verified, like ultra verified. Yeah,
It's just ridiculous. So I think it just defeats the purpose of being verified if you can just pay for it and you're not getting verified. When I get verified when I use my Apple card, I don't just pay without using like my passcode or my face to pay for it. Like that's the point of like a two-step.
I think he's just trying to like give people the power to feel like they're worthy or what they're saying is important.
Aren't you making money off of like the Twitter? I know this is completely not what you just said, but aren't you already making money off of like the Twitter thing that gets rid of ads?
So like I think partially his reasoning for the paywall paying for verification is because like he wants to take because Twitter doesn't make any money apart from advertisements, right? Yeah. So it's hard for them to like drive a lot of innovation and shit when they don't have like a steady stream of income, right? Not that it's not steady, but like I don't know. I don't know what the word is for it, but basically, if you can guarantee, like, if you can charge people for something that everyone technically wants or wanted, which is a blue check mark, which I'm not sure if people really want anymore, because like, if everyone has it, why does it even like fucking matter? Really?
There's no distinction anymore.
Yeah, but I think he wanted to drive like another stream of income so that he could pay engineers to like refactor like the platform in the way that he wants. I also think one thing is like I think we can all agree that Elon Musk is a smart guy. Like to take Tesla where it is and to take SpaceX where it is, like you have to be a super smart, high functioning individual, right? Which I can give him credit for. But if you watch any interviews with this dude, he's the most socially inept person I've ever seen in my life. Like one of the most, right? So like, yeah, I agree. He can like run a company well in terms of like innovation and shit, right?
Yeah.
But what the fuck does he know about like this type of shit? Like I feel like he just bought, because remember he made a tweet a while back and he's like, oh, should I just buy Twitter? Right. And that's where this started because he was like, yeah, I believe in free speech. And then I'm sure he had some like yes men or whatever, like funding for banks that were like, yeah, we'll do it for you. Cause they probably, think it's a good idea to like invest in Elon or whatever. So I feel like he just bought it because he can, and he, like, and then his whole idea is free speech, but like that's not like the only part of the platform, right? It's also like, he also said he was going to do like content moderation and all this stuff and like improve the platform, but in what way, like how? Like he hasn't talked about that at all, in my opinion. Like at least I haven't seen it.
And I think the free speech that he's been like trying to promote at this current time and content moderation are two things that don't go together. Because if you're moderating content, that means you're filtering things out. But the way he's implementing this free speech thing right now is he's just making an open season for whatever.
Right.
And so
I don't think he knows what he wants.
No, he doesn't. He's like Rishi, bro. He doesn't think before he makes actions.
He's literally a politician, bro. He's like trying to say both things at the same time, but he doesn't know exactly the best way to do it because it's not his domain.
He also looks like a fucking alien. I just want to say that.
That is a factual statement.
But continue.
Harsha, what do you think as an avid Twitter user yourself? What do you think?
Yeah, it sucks. I guess my question about the blue checkmark thing is like, are they still gonna have like the verification criteria the same thing, and then like if you pass it, then you get a blue checkmark and you have to pay for it?
I don't know.
No.
It's literally like anyone could, like, I saw there's a YouTuber called MKBHD, like tech YouTuber, right? That talked about this, and I think he was saying, or like there was like a thread that I saw in like after his tweet that was basically like, you could just pay $8 and be me. Like you could literally copy my profile and then you could literally just tweet what I tweet right after. And one of like the things that I had seen in the thread was that this dude was telling a story about how like some famous person like didn't have a Twitter, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
David Spade.
And this like account that was trying to impersonate this person, like they didn't even have like a like a verified account, right? Like they didn't have the blue check mark, but it was essentially like grooming children or taking advantage of children in some fashion, either by money or like, sexual stuff that's like weird. And so this dude was saying like, it's not that like, it's like the check mark it's more to combat against that type of stuff than it is to verify that like you are a person. It's to give some credibility to who it is, rather.
Yeah, when I read stuff on Twitter, I just like check to see if they have a blue check mark before like I register it or whatever. And then now that's kind of gone to shit.
Kind of like what Haran was saying about the ultra verification or whatever. Why can't he just have like a blue check mark and then a white check mark? And the white check mark is for like
the actual
normies. Yeah. And the blue check mark or whatever. Either way, right?
I think you're saying, yeah.
Like, I guess like it doesn't come with the same, clout, I guess. Yeah. But at the same time, like you're also like with this $8, you also get like more special features like priority replies or some some other quality of life features.
Yeah, that sucks too.
Twitter. Yeah, like who needs any of that? Honestly, like I don't fucking know. Anyway, go ahead.
I saw something that was like, I'll miss the time when the top comment on Twitter was just the funniest one. Or something. Not anymore.
Yeah. And like now I feel like whenever you see somebody in the comments reply and it says super follower, they get clowned so fucking hard.
Yeah.
And like I feel like now it's gonna be the same thing because like I mean you're not like paying money to like one account, you're just like paying money to Twitter, but it could become the same thing where like anybody who buys Twitter verification is just being like look like a fucking idiot. So
did you say it's gonna bring back Vine, by the way?
Bro, and he said
he has my support.
He said he was gonna make Logan Paul the CEO, and Logan Paul liked it. I was like, what the fuck is this?
There's a lot of fucking idiots out there these days, man.
Speaking of fucking idiots.
Wait, what are we doing? What are you and I doing?
3 idiots?
Kanye's an idiot. I don't know who he's fucking, but he's an idiot. I feel like.
Dude, after you just like beat him up all the time on like he's like your goat in music and all that stuff, now you can say it's
I never said that.
Good morning.
I liked his old music.
Harsha, can you give like a summary of this?
Yeah, Kanye being an idiot. Yeah. Like
it goes back a long.
I don't know. It's kind of like a season, right? Spring, summer, fall. Like I feel like every year Kanye just becomes an idiot in the news for something.
Yeah,
that's fair. It's seasonal.
Like, people get seasonal depression. Kanye gets seasonal insane.
We already covered like in the past that he has like some mental problems, which is like okay, he should get help, but also he shouldn't be stupid and just using that excuse to just say whatever the fuck you want to say. Like recently, saying some like anti-Semitic stuff about Jewish people, like he tweeted something that was like, "Oh, I want to go like DEFCON 3 on Jewish people or something."
Yeah, that was wild.
I actually didn't even know he said that. I just looked it up like today. And I was like, "What the fuck is that? Like, why?"
That's so random. Can I just say it's so random to hate Jewish people in like today's culture? Like everyone, like I mean, I'm not saying like it's just so weird because I feel like right now everyone's like against like black people or like whatever else, you know what I mean? Like people are just be racist, but like for him to be Kanye, it's just random.
The thing is, I don't think it's random because I guess in his experience, he works in the music industry. He deals with a lot of Jewish like people because they're involved in the industry there. Not justifying what he's feeling and what he said because that's out of line no matter what the context is, but. I think like he's speaking from those experiences, and then he's just, and then I'm sure like with the industry he's been in, he's seen a lot of Jewish people and like in the industry and in executive positions. But to like say something like that without, I don't know, it's just out of pocket.
Yeah.
I feel like if you have those feelings against certain people, then like just name them. We're in a day and age where like. If you have a vendetta against someone, you could straight up just oust them, and then like
actually that's such a better strategy if you
instead of just taking maybe okay. Again, I'm speaking out of generality because I don't exactly know what goes in Kanye's head. I'm not sure many people know what goes in Kanye's head, but like if this is all stems from like him having personal issues with certain people in the industry,
Yeah.
then he should just go after them instead of just generalizing the whole Jewish community and saying all this stuff against them. But yeah, it is just kind of sad to see, I guess, you know. As like Harsha, I'm a fan of Kanye's music. I've been a fan of Kanye's music, but just like everything he's done since pretty much Trump was in power has been questionable, both on and off record, I would say, on the records.
Yeah, he's so stupid. Like, I think he got pressed to apologize or something. He said, like, he's not, on some interview, he was like, yeah, I'm not anti-Semitic. And then the interviewer asked him, like, oh, so, like, are you sorry? Like, do you, like, not mean what you said? He's like, no, I'm not sorry for that comment. I think I meant it. He, like, kind of doubled down, pretty much. It was, like, on a Piers Morgan interview. He also recently wore, like, a White Lives Matter shirt and Paris.
Yeah, the thing is, like, he also has been like anti-black kind of in like the past, recent years.
Yeah, he said like slavery is a choice and all this stuff. Bro, honestly, how did he not get canceled back then when he said that type of shit? I don't know. Maybe this. No,
I think that's the thing. That's the point people were making. Or like when he was saying all that, no brands would drop him because he was attacking pretty much black people, essentially, right? But as soon as he goes after the white people and Jewish people,
that's interesting.
They're like, that's when the brands get involved. Yeah, like, we got to drop you now, which is another problem about the culture in the day we live in right now.
And I think that's a lot of the reason that there's a lot of division in how black people are viewing what Kanye's saying is exactly what you said about how, like, when he was attacking black people, really nobody gave a shit, but now that he's attacking Jewish people who are white people, now everybody gives a fuck and is punishing him, and he's losing all of his endorsements. He's losing all of his, pretty much like everything. Like,
he pretty much lost everything.
Not saying this is okay, but do you think it's because he's also black? Like, if a white person was going against black people, like, do you think the white person would also lose brand sponsorship?
Wait, white people going after Jewish people, or
no? If a white person was just like being racist towards black people publicly, like a white celebrity. Would they lose brand sponsorship like Adidas and stuff?
I'm trying to think of an equivalent to Kanye that's white.
It doesn't have to be like just a white person. Yeah, it just gets canceled for being racist or like.
I mean, I feel like there are enough examples of that, but I can't think of like. I feel like there are
prominence of Kanye. I feel like is.
But I mean, like Donald Sterling said the N-word and then like and other stuff and like lost the team. Like, I think it is bad because Kanye. I mean, like he was being mean and offensive to black people and like didn't get flack for it from brands. But like, I think it also has to do with the fact that he is black too.
Yeah.
That if a white person did it, then that person, I hope, would also receive the same treatment. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to know without having like an equivalent to the situation. Like, I'm trying to like think really hard of like all I can think of, like white athletes have like said the N-word or something, and they get like suspended or fined or something like that, which is not on the same level of getting like dropped. Like, I remember like, God, it must have been like almost 10 years ago now. There was like this football player who was at like a country concert and he said the N-word, and I think he got cut later on or something like that. And
yeah, I mean, it's happened for athletes like Myers Leonard, who's a basketball player, said some anti-Semitic comment on some Twitch stream and then hasn't played in the league since.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about Kyrie later, and he's now getting suspended. So
yeah, I think it's a good point though, to wonder whether or not this is because it's attacking a group that's outside of your own, or if it's because you're attacking specifically non-white or non-black people, white people.
Yeah.
But
I mean, Kanye also said some dumb shit recently too about like George Floyd, saying that he died of fentanyl and like the cop wasn't even on his neck like that or something like that, which is like, what the fuck? Like,
there's like literally a video of
first of all, there's a video, and second of all, why do you feel a need to even say anything like that?
Yeah,
Like,
it's been what, 2 years since the incident.
I feel like this dude's like mental state. Maybe I don't know if it's right for me to assume, and I definitely don't think it gives him a pass, like Harsha said. But I definitely feel like his mental state is like a cause or a big contributor, maybe.
Yeah.
Because I don't know.
Like, think back to what we saw in the doc, like the Netflix doc,
Yeah.
or like his come up and like how he was back then. Like, you could see like the little bit of crazy in him,
Yeah.
but like I think it was more controlled back then, and he was just like focused on his music and his grind, and he just kind of just lost himself, I guess.
He probably also has way too many yes men around him. Like, you could even see it in the doc near the end of the doc.
Yeah.
Where he was just spewing bullshit at everybody, and everyone was like, "Okay, yes, Kanye, yes."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, no wonder Kim left him, bro. Imagine how exhausting that would be to like even,
To put up with.
yeah, man.
That's the thing, is that I think even though these issues were there beforehand, like going through a lot of the things that he's gone through with losing his mother, and then his divorce with Kim, I think he's had other divorces, or at least like other big relationships before, but now that he's had kids with her, I feel like it's a bigger deal.
Yeah.
That obviously, like you said, this is not an excuse for his behavior, but it could maybe be a point of like where its source. That it's just, again, like I said, it's not an excuse, but like I feel like people go through that at some point in their life. And the majority of people, I mean, everybody handles everything differently, but just handling that manner, like pretty much making social outbursts and becoming offensive and attacking other groups of people is just clearly not the right way to go about it.
Kanye also posted on his Instagram a picture of Kyrie Irving shouting him out as a real one. So I feel like usually if a celebrity shouts you out, you're probably like gassed up. But if Kanye is shouting you out, there's something wrong with you too. I'm going to talk about Kyrie.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, this is still like ongoing and pretty fresh. So
Yeah.
this could be more resolution by the time this podcast episode comes out about what's going to go on with Kyrie. But basically, Kyrie
Irving's a basketball player, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Kyrie Irving's a basketball player for the Nets. He's a star player and like pretty popular, I guess, among fans in the game and stuff.
Yeah.
And other players.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he promoted some excerpt, like some part of basically a book or a video or a movie that promotes like a documentary that like promotes like anti-Semitism, basically from like a black person's perspective, like coming from like this faction of black Hebrew Israelites, they call themselves, like people that think that they're like the real Jewish people and the European Jews aren't the real ones, and basically they now have more power and stuff, and like they feel like they're actually like closer to God and should be considered Jews. So that's why they hate Jewish people. And he referenced that in a tweet, and then was criticized for it. I didn't really walk back on it or apologize. Got questioned for it in a press conference, and then basically roasted the reporter and was like, "What the fuck are you talking about? Like, I'm just doing whatever. Like, I'm not promoting it. I just put something on there." Which he just like contradicting himself like the whole way around.
Yeah.
Today he had a press conference and like issued a statement. Never said the words "I'm sorry." The commissioner called him out for it, and then finally, like 5 minutes or 10 minutes before this podcast, he got suspended 5 games for it.
From his team, not the league.
From his team.
I feel like that's an important distinction, which we can get into. In a minute.
And then he also donated to this Anti-Defamation League, which is like helps against anti-Semitic issues and causes and stuff. And the leader of that rejected his donation because he didn't fully apologize. Yeah. And he's also on the side promotes some Alex Jones shit too, and Alex Jones is another big problem. So he's just a really cryptic guy, and I don't know what he's thinking, and he should leave.
Yeah, he
should leave what?
The world.
Leave the team and leave. Just leave.
Yeah.
He thinks it's flat, so he probably thinks there's an edge.
Kyrie Irving thinks a fucking what the
Oh,
fuck?
I mean, he said that, and he was like, "Oh." And then later, he was like, "Oh yeah, I just wanted to show like how like anything I say, like, you guys just like take it and run it with it or whatever." So like, I don't think fully believes he just like saying whatever the fuck.
And that's the main problem is that he knows he's like abusing his power of just like being able to say shit and people just latch onto it, which is one of the major issues with this. I mean, there's a lot of major issues with what he said and what he promoted, but.
Do you think it stems from him spending so much time in Cleveland?
It drive any person crazy. But
Cleveland actually kept Kyrie sane. Actually, I'd say.
Oh, yeah, he lost it in Boston.
Yeah,
that actually make a lot of sense.
Kind of
yeah, you're right.
He lost it in Boston.
Yeah,
lost it in Boston.
Wait, so what happened when he decided that he didn't want to be in LeBron's shadow anymore? That was in Cleveland, though.
Yeah, then he left, and then he lost it in Boston.
He did pretty much lose it in Boston. You would agree to that, Christian? I feel
like he was gone before then.
Anyway.
The flat Earth thing came out when he was in Cleveland.
Yeah,
anyway,
but I mean, like, it was more controlled than it is now. And he also, like, played the whole season and played well. Anyways, good, whatever. It's not the point.
Yeah, it's actually not the point. He lost it.
Anyway, yeah, so Kyrie, he's one of these dudes that he's, like, fake woke. Like, he just likes
Jaden
to...
Smith?
Yeah. He just likes to sound woke and then not do anything else. He just wants to be liked so badly, I think, that he tries so hard that it makes nobody like him. He obviously, like Harsha said, he said all of these really ridiculous things and offensive things, especially retweeting that documentary. And I would repeat the quote that the documentary says, but it's just not really worth it to give it more time. And basically, Harsha had a summary of it, basically, that this group of people, of Black Israelites, believe that they are the true Hebrews. And it is worth noting that there are a lot of African Americans, Africans that follow the leader Farrakhan, who that's his teachings is by him. And he's seen, I believe this is definitely a statement that I should not make without having done more research. So I could be 100% wrong, but I believe there was a lot of his influence when the Black Panther Party was founded, around the time of Martin Luther King. And so there's a lot of roots from that group still going on in the US and I assume across the world to this day. But my main issue with Kyrie, other than being an idiot, is that it actually doesn't really have to do with Kyrie. It has to do with the other players in the league. Nobody has come out and been like, this dude needs to like get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck is going on? Which, in the case of, I know Harsha mentioned it when we were talking about Kanye, Donald Sterling, Robert Sarver, who's another owner who's in the NBA, who's being in the process of having to sell his team. I guess it really didn't happen with Udoka, but these other people that are basically like had a scandal and had to be ousted from their position of power. Players are really one of the most important voices in the league, and they are usually one of the first people to come out and, demand wrongs or demand justice for when people do something wrong within the league. And there has been nobody that said anything about Kyrie's statements.
But when is there ever accountability shared amongst players to other players, though? I feel like that's never really the case. I feel like if you go against another player, like on a different team, you're seen as like not a rat, but like a, you know what I mean? Like I feel like there's like a sense of brotherhood amongst the players, and I'm not saying I think that is a good thing for the league in a whole, but it's not a good thing when you're like protecting someone from the criticism that they're deserving to be had.
I think that yes, the league is a brotherhood to an extent, but I feel like it's the same as though when you see somebody, I mean, it's going to sound weird, but in a basketball sense, like if you see somebody like, we'll just say Draymond Green because he's the biggest fucking douchebag on the court that anybody knows, right? if you see him go push somebody in the air intentionally and they fucking like land and break their leg, a ton of players are going to be able to be like, yo, what the fuck? Like, that's just dirty. Like, you know, that's just, you can't do that. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Right? And so that's keeping it on the court. Yeah. And well, my point is that because Kyrie, there's going to be millions and millions of people across the world who don't watch the NBA, don't know anything about basketball, but they're going to hear about, oh, this basketball player was anti-Semitic and made all these anti-Semitic endorsements. And that's going to give the other players in the league a bad name, and it's going to give the league itself a bad name.
And yeah, but you could say the same way, like when LeBron like refused to get vaccinated for a bit before he did, like no one said anything against LeBron. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, people outside of the league did for sure, but like players in the league didn't comment on it, even though a lot of them were already vaccinated at the time and they believed in getting vaccinated.
I feel like LeBron's a different story.
I mean, no one said that about Kyrie last year either when he was not
vaccinated.
That's what I'm
saying. I feel like players are never really the ones to talk out on.
I feel like
outside of like you said, like if things happen on the court, I think they would comment for sure. But
I think that
when it comes to like personal stances outside of the realms of basketball,
I think there's a difference between a personal stance and disseminating hate speech. I think those are two different things.
No, I know. I mean, like I can't really think of a
an NBA player who's openly said hate speech before. No, me either. But
yeah, but like.
Yeah,
like when Myers Leonard did it, did like the players come out against it?
Not really. Like I guess the point is that we're not saying that they shouldn't. They should be speaking out on Kyrie, but the reason that they don't is, I guess, what Ron's saying.
Yeah, I'm not saying they should be defending Kyrie. I'm sure like if you ask any player how they feel about what Kyrie did, like on a different team.
That's kind of my point. Is that no, I think there's way more than we realize of players that are within his line of thinking.
Oh, okay.
And because he's so vocal to his own detriment, that he's like the biggest name that we know of that thinks like this. And I think there's maybe, I mean, this is just a number and this is completely fabricated, but I think there's close to half the league that probably shares a lot of the views that Kyrie has. Because of the way that you're brought up as an African American in this country. And it's a lot of us against them mentality. And you're so marginalized. Again, this is just an outside perspective. I could be 100% wrong. But I think that it's a way more common thing. And going back to what I was saying about Kanye, how there's so many people that aren't against what he's saying because he's not going against black people, I guess, if that makes sense. That's just my guesstimate of the situation. I could be 100% wrong, but I think that Kyrie should... my point is that he should be held accountable by his peers because he gives the rest of them a bad name. That's kind of my point.
Turan, do you have anything to say here?
I just think it sucks in like all of these cases that like, you know, these are people that are like, you know, have worked hard and like done, like Kanye, for example, has done so much for like the culture in general. Like his music is so fucking insane, you know? And to have it like all tarnished by this dumb shit that like, I don't know, just like having it tarnished, you know? Like this will always be on Kyrie's you know, record. Like it just takes away from everything that they've done and in like the worst way possible. Like it makes you feel like you can't enjoy what they've done, which is it's a good thing. Like why would you want to support someone who's so fucked up? But like for people like Kanye that has like, you know, 10, 15 years, you know, what do you call it? Like tenure in the music industry, right? Like even though he wasn't like, I'm assuming he wasn't flawed, you know, back then when he released like Graduation. Now it feels like Graduation would be like, it would feel wrong to listen to, you know?
Yeah.
And I mean, like we've talked about this like briefly before, I feel like on the podcast about like separating people from their work, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think it's like, it's starting to get harder and harder to do that when there's all this shit all the fucking time. And I don't know if it's just a thing because I mean, we talk about this with like content recommendation systems like we did in the last thing, but I don't know if like social media just like, you know, overplays or like, I guess, you know, what's the word? Like amplifies all this type of shit in general. But I just feel like it's all we see nowadays. It's just so aggravating to see all these things that we enjoy and we like, and people that are, I feel like we're generally not like bad people, have these fucking whatever like flaws just come out, and us having to feel like, and I get it's not their duty to like make us feel good or whatever the fuck, but I just think it's sad that we like what we have enjoyed is now like we can't. That's basically yeah.
I think it's even worse that it's to Black people, because like, you know, like it's not easy to make it in respective injuries when you're industries when you're of like when you're Black essentially, and like it's a grind to get to where they've gotten, and it's impressive in that regard. So then it's like when you get to that level and you have that amount of power, like there are young Black kids looking up to you, you know, and like whatever you say, like it leaves a certain impression on them, and like they like care for what you have to say and what you share and what you put yourself out as. And it's just a shame that like you go through all that work, you do everything, and then you just have these opinions that are just not ideal, I guess, in the lack of better words. And I don't know, it's just a shame.
Yeah,
it's just a shame.
I think a lot of creatives, and you can loop in athletes with that, want to be known for something other than their art or their work. Like a lot of athletes don't want to just be known as, I was a football player, I was a basketball player, like I helped out my community and I helped out like society in like a positive way other than just being a guy who plays a sport. Same thing for artists. They want to, you know, give love back to where they grew up from, like, you know, embrace the culture, uplift the culture. And to see, and I know that this wasn't the intention, that doesn't mean it's any less harmful, that these actions and these words do the exact opposite, right? They pin cultures against each other. They create more chaos and more turmoil. And so it's really self-damaging, kind of like what you were just talking about, how it's just awful to see that, you know, you work so hard for so long and it may not diminish the things you've accomplished, but it always leaves a stain on your legacy, I guess, if you want to think about it like that. Not just as an artist or an athlete, but just as a human being. And another thing is that because we just have so much more access to people's knowledge of information and what their opinions are, that maybe this is just, we just know more about everybody, and that means we know more good and more bad about them, given the current age of technology and that kind of stuff. So
that's true.
And it's just like, it's the most unfortunate thing is that like it just makes it that much harder for the next person to come up, because like these person's actions are now kind of reflected on that community, and now like you have to kind of overcome that when you go on your next journey. It's just it's tough times.
Also, I feel like one more thing is like Kanye, for example, right? He wasn't just like music, he also pushed the culture forward in terms of like fashion as well, right? A lot of these people that I feel like are, like I was saying, like Elon Musk, like high functioning, like they're able to like use their creative abilities or like their strong suits in multiple different you know, industries, which I feel like is important, because like that sort of like competition or like that sort of creative thinking is like what pushes us forward generally in society, and makes people like always want to one up the next thing. And for them to like just do this dumb shit, you know, just literally like stops that, you know. It also stops people from being inspired, I feel like. Because like who
like you want the leaders of our world today to like have a general sense of morality and stuff.
Honestly, it's not even like, I wish I could reduce these people just to like what they put out, because that would make it a lot easier for everybody, I think. But I don't know, it's just it's like not even that we can't like what I was saying is like we can't enjoy what they put out previously.
Yeah.
And now we also can't enjoy what they could have put out. And what their future shit could have done for like our generation or generations like next generations, you know. Like it's just like they stop. It's like a stop, putting a stop to all of it.
Like Harsha can't go back and watch Game 7 highlights anymore because it's just tarnished.
Right.
I just
What?
Nothing.
I just think it's like sad and it's like a waste mainly.
Yeah,
it's just like
absolutely.
a waste of such like so much talent. Like with all these people, you know.
Yeah.
So if you're just a good person, I feel like better things come to you, you know. So like, why the fuck you gotta do this dumb shit? You absolutely fucking idiots. It's so stupid too. They have everything they could ever want in life. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying like people don't have problems and shit, but like they don't have like day to day like regular people problems, as in like where, you know, people have to think about like what where their next meal is coming from, like money and like inflation, all these types of things. You don't have to think about that shit. Yeah. So they're put at such an advantage at that point in their life, you know. I'm not saying they didn't work towards it, but they're put in an advantage where like you can actually like make a change. And to say this dumb shit and stuff just absolutely puts a fucking stop to all of it. Just wastes everything that you just fucking like all this effort that you put in your whole life for nothing.
Yeah, I guess like we don't have to talk about this if this might go like a little controversial, but if you have thoughts like this, like I mean, like I hope first off you would think better than to just put that out there and like for everyone to hear. But like if you have sincerely like have thoughts like this, like how do you deal with them? Like do you talk them out to someone in private? Like how do you like as like, with people as famous as Kanye and like Kyrie, right? Like how does one deal with it? Because I feel like if you try to talk to someone privately, that shit could get leaked immediately, right?
That's also fair. That's a fair point to make. I feel like if you have a good set of people around you, they'll put you in your place. You know, like as like, and this goes back to what Christian is saying is that like people in the NBA like should, you know, keep you accountable. Yeah. But like, I mean, obviously it's hard to do any of that in private, like you're saying, but I think that's a big thing. Yeah, I don't think anyone's out here stopping Kanye from doing anything, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that it also goes, you have to, I mean, this is a lot of work, which is why people don't do it, right? It's because it takes effort and time and a willingness to sit down and figure it out. But I think understanding why you think something the way it is or why you have an opinion, like, what's your source of this opinion? Like, why do you think that you approach things like this? Like, is it the way you were raised? Is it your life experience? Is it the things you were taught in school? Like, what gives you these sorts of opinions? Because one of the other major issues with Kyrie is he promotes like this, like YouTube, going down like the rabbit hole on YouTube and just watching like video, like binge watching like conspiracy theory videos. Like, I'm not just making that up. Like, that's something he has said, that he watches like conspiracy theory videos to try and get like an alternate view of thinking or some bullshit like that. And he wants everybody to test, you know, don't take anything that society says, like do your own research. He's one of those people, which to an extent I agree with. Like, you should do your own research to try and reinforce what you believe in or maybe change your mind. But anyway, that's a different argument. But I think, like I said, it's important to understand why you believe what you believe and understand maybe that there's alternate perspectives and to have respect for other perspectives, I think. And that's kind of, I feel like everything always comes back to, like Tarun said, just being a decent human being and not, you know,
a piece of shit.
Yeah. So I don't know where to go from there, but that's the bottom line.
Well, on a more positive note, Dan Snyder is going to sell the Commanders, so there is hope for everybody.
But he might go to Jeff Bezos, bro.
What are you going to do? Okay.
That is good news, though. That is very good news. I am happy. Fuck that guy.
So if you like this episode, it's a little bit different than our other ones, so we hope you enjoyed it. And we don't know. We're not experts on this. We don't pretend to be. So if you got anything wrong, just let us know. And let's keep this conversation going.
Yeah. So if you want to hear more discussions like this, let us know too.
Yeah.
This is not really our usual realm of
we're not
operation.
Smart.
But I think I think it's good to have these talks every once in a while, you know.
Yeah, because we definitely don't have these off the podcast, so it's good to have.
Yeah, we definitely don't.
We actually
he's not even
don't.
lying. He's not even lying. It's true. We don't. But we should. We should.
Nah, fuck you.
Yeah. So you can find more of these interesting discussions on social media. We have Instagram at Industry Discussion. You can find these episodes on Spotify, Apple Music, email, Gmail, Vine, TikTok,
Not Twitter,
Pinterest. Not Twitter, but Twitter Spaces, maybe.
A verified Twitter account coming soon.
But yeah, that's going to wrap it up for this episode. We thank you all for listening and have a great rest of your day. Bye.
R.I.P. Takeoff.